to the class. As far as today's class is concerned, in today's class we'll be talking about the interpolation formulas, and today's interpolation formula we'll be talking about is the Newton's method of interpolation. Okay, so let's talk about the Newton's Newton's method of interpolation. As far as the Newton's method of interpolation is concerned, before we discuss how the Newton's method of interpolation works, we have to define some important tables, what we call as the difference tables. So first of all, before we talk about Newton's method of interpolation, let's talk about the difference tables. Okay. So as far as the difference table are concerned, or difference tables are concerned, the first and foremost difference table is the forward difference table, what we call as the forward difference table. Now, what do we mean by the forward difference table? By saying the forward difference table, let's suppose we are having some values of x. Let's suppose we have we have some values of x, and corresponding to these values of x, let's suppose we have some values of y. Okay, let me say I is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, and the first value of x, that is x1, is x1. When I is equal to 2, the value of x is x2. I is equal to 3, the value of x is x3. And when I is equal to 4, let the value of x be equal x4. Okay. Similarly, when the value of y is equal to 1, let me suppose this is y1. This value of y is y2. This value of y is y3. And this value of y is y4. Okay. So we are given the values of xi, and we are also given the values of y. Okay. So corresponding to x1, the value of y is y1. Corresponding to x2, the value of y is y2. Corresponding to x3, the value of y is y3. And corresponding to x4, the value of y is y4. Okay. Now, we define what we call as the first difference, which we take by delta yi. Okay. The first difference. The first difference is written as, first you take y2 minus y1. It's written here. y2 minus y1. Then the next entry is y3 minus y2, and the third entry is y4 minus y3. Okay, so this term we call as, we define as delta y1. This we define as the first difference. This we call as delta y2, and this we call as delta y3. Let me draw the columns just like this. Okay, this is the first difference. Okay, then we also define delta 2 yi. This is called the second difference. Okay, the second difference is defined as delta y2 minus delta y1, and here it will be delta y3 minus delta y2. This is called the second difference, and this is written as delta 2 y1, and this is written as delta 2 y2. Okay, then we define the third difference, that's called delta 3 yi. Okay, the first entry here will be delta 2 y2 minus delta 2 y1, and this is defined as delta 3 y1. Okay, here our table ends. Okay, and this table that we draw in this form, this is called the forward difference table. Okay, this is what we understand by the forward difference table. For example, if I have xi is equal, okay, so if I have x1 is equal to 1, 2, 3, and 4, let's suppose, and corresponding to x1, the values of y1 are, say, for example, 2, 5, 6, 9, for example. Therefore, when we take the first difference, delta yi, the first one be 5 minus 2 is 3, 6 minus 5 is 1, 9 minus 6 is 3. Okay. When we take the second difference, delta 2 yi, it will be 1 minus 3 is minus 2 and 3 minus 1 is 2. Then we'll have the third difference, delta 3 yi. This will be 2 minus minus 2, that is 4. Here the forward difference table will stop. This is how the forward difference table works, how we construct the forward difference table. In the same way, we talk about one more table that's called the backward difference table. Okay. So let's talk about the backward difference table. Okay, as far as the backward difference table is concerned, how do we start it? Again, let this is I, this is xi, and let this to be yi. Okay, let's take again the four values 1, 2, 3, and 4. Xi values which we are taken as so these are xi values. So this may says, for example, this is x1, x2, x3, x4, and this is y1, y2, y3, and y4. Okay, so when we define the first backward difference, okay, we have to leave the first row as such, no entry here. So it is defined from here, y2 minus y1. Okay, and it is written like this. It is written as delta y. This should have been our first, so we write this as inverted delta. This is the first backward difference. Here our first backward difference should have been delta y1, but we don't have to give any entry here. So we start from here. Delta y2 is y2 minus y1. Then delta y3 is equal y3 minus y2. And delta inverted delta 4 is equal y4 minus y3. This is the first difference. Now take the second difference, second backward difference, that is delta 2 yi. Okay, so you don't give any entry to the first, you don't give any entry to the second, go to the third. So it will be delta y3, delta, it will be written as delta 2 y3, because this is your third entry. It is written as delta y4 minus delta y3. Okay, in fact delta 2y, sorry, delta 2 y3 y4 minus delta 2 y4 minus delta 2 y3. Okay, so this is how we actually start x1, x2, x3, x4, y1, y2, y3, y4. Delta y2 is y2 minus y1, delta y3 is y3 minus y2, and delta y4 is y4 minus y3. That's okay. Delta 2 y1 is delta 2 y3, that is delta 2 y3 minus I have to make a little correction here. This is a bit wrong here, this should not have been there. So I have to now, I don't have to write anything in the 2. This is, I have to leave this, I have to leave this. So I will be directly to the delta 2 y3. Yes, so my delta 2 y3, because this is the third, 1, 2, and 3, that's why this will be delta y3 is delta y3 minus delta 2 y3 minus delta 2 y2, and the last one, that is delta 2 y4 is delta y4, sorry, not delta 2 here, this will be delta y4 minus delta y3, and the last one is the third backward difference, that is delta 3yi. I have to leave the first one, second one, and the third one. The fourth one will be delta 3 delta cube y4 will be equal delta 2 y4 minus delta 2 y3. Okay, this is how we define the backward difference. Okay, this is quite easy to understand, the concept of the backward difference and the backward difference and the forward difference. Okay, there is one more table that's called the divided difference table that I should also show you. So as far as the third table is concerned, that's what we call as the divided divided difference table. That's something important for us, though we will not be using the divided difference table. but still we should show how do we define the divided difference table. The different divided difference table, again, let me take the entries I, xi, and the yi. Okay, so this is I is equal to 1, 2, 3, and 4. Corresponding to 1, I have x1, then we have x2, then we have x3, and then in the last we have x4. Here we have y1, y2, y3, y4. Okay, when we take, now we have to define what we call as the central difference. Okay, central difference is defined like this: delta d. First central difference is defined as delta d yi. Okay, how we define it? So first central difference, delta d y1, is written as, so the first central difference, delta d y1, and this is written in between the first and the second value as per the convention, and it should be there. In fact, it's written here, it's written in between. Okay, so first it will be delta d y1. First central difference is defined as y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. This is quite easy. Y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. This is the first central difference. The second will be defined here, that is delta d y2 is written as, yes, y3 minus y2, y3 minus y2 divided by x3 minus x2. Okay, and the last one, last central difference, that is delta d first central difference of the third entry, will be y4 minus y3 divided by x4 minus x3. Fine. So let's do the second forward difference. Okay, in the second forward difference, in the second divided difference column, we define this as delta 2d yi. Okay, so that will be, first will be defined in between these two entries, that is defined as delta 2d. This is the first entry. Okay, so yeah, it will be delta 2d y1. The first entry is delta d y2 minus delta d y1, and corresponding terms are x3 minus x1. Okay, so this is written in between these two numbers. Okay, the difference of these two, so it will be delta d y2 minus delta d y1. Okay, this minus this divided by, okay, so when you divide, when you have to divide, okay, so you have the terms, you see, this entry is after x1. Okay, and this entry is after x3, so it will be x3 minus x1. This is written as x3 minus x1. Okay, in the same way, the entry here is written as delta 2d y2 is written as delta dy3 minus delta dy1 divided by, it will be x4 minus x. No, we have to see now, delta dy2, this is after x2, and delta d, this term is after, before x4, so it will be x4 minus x2. Okay, so in the same way, you can define the last two, you can take the third difference. Okay, that is quite handy in doing it. Okay, so we can write the delta 3d y1 is equal to, write down in between of these, that is delta 2d y2 minus, that's equal delta 2d y2 minus delta 2d y1 divided by, you see, if you in fact take these two terms, this term delta 2y, this is after x1, so it will be, and this is before x4, this will be x4 minus x1. Okay, so this is how we draw the divided difference table. Okay, the table that we'll be using right now is what we call as a forward difference table. That's very important for us, and that forward difference table we'll be using for doing the interpolation formula, that is the Newton's forward difference interpolation formula, Newton's method of interpolation. And Yes, I can in fact show some questions on the forward difference formula. Okay, let me first of all go to the theory of it. Okay, as far as the theory is concerned, so the topic now that we'll be talking is about the forward difference. Okay, now let me talk about after discussing this forward and backward difference formula tables. Let's discuss what do we understand by the what for what purpose we have to use these forward and the backward difference tables. Though as far as actually the topic that I have to discuss today is what we call as the Newton's methods of interpolation. That's very important. We have to discuss the Newton's methods of interpolation. This is very important topic for us. Okay. Now, in the Newton's methods of interpolation, we have one is called Newton's forward difference interpolation formula. Second is called the Newton's backward difference interpolation formula. And the third one is called Newton's divided difference interpolation formula. Okay. So first of all, let's talk about the Newton's forward difference interpolation formula. So we'll be talking about first one will be Newton's forward difference Newton's forward difference. Sir, Shiva? Sir, Shiva के ड्राइंग चलो 21 बजता है क्यों ये खड़ा है ये मौसम है सुन